Well, I have the opportunity to speak with a girl that has grown politically very fast in the United States. And that's Kari Lake, who for some reason, and also with me, Jeff Halperin, who's her husband. For some reason, Kari has dropped a career that she had. It was very important for her and for the audience in Fox News, and all of a sudden you turn into politics. What happened? What happened with your concept of what you should do in life?
Well, I worked here locally in Arizona. I was the leading news name and face in this beautiful state, and loved my career. I loved being a journalist, but during COVID, I realized that the media was pushing a false narrative, oftentimes lies, pushing fear and division. And I just saw that had become propaganda, and I didn't want to be a part of a propaganda machine. I wanted to be a journalist, but it was becoming increasingly difficult with each day. The media wanted to push just the government line and didn't want to challenge the government. And so it was a very difficult decision, obviously uncertain times. COVID was pretty scary economically. But I talked to my husband, Jeff, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. If I can't be a true journalist, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. And so we made the difficult decision to walk away. I made the decision to walk away from my job. And I put out a video to the good people of this state that I covered for 27 years, explaining why I was leaving. And an amazing thing happened. I put that video out. It went viral overnight. Mm-hmm. And the people of this state reached out in droves and said, would you please consider running for office? We need somebody who understands the issues of our state, who understands us, the people, who we trust, and will go to or will run for office. And so I gave it some thought, and I decided that I would jump in as a citizen, jump into the political arena. And that was 3.5 years ago, and it's been a wild ride.
And first you ran for governor, and now you're running for the Senate. Right. I think that everything has been said for this campaign, but there's a certain portion of the population that is moderate and does not know where to go, what to do, who to vote for. What would you say to that minority that is like swinging between the Reps and the Democrats?
Well, I think there's a perfect place for them, and it's in the America First movement. I don't think it's extreme at all. I actually think it's very normal and moderate, and to want to have secure communities, safe communities, a secure border. I think it's something every moderate wants. They don't want to have fentanyl pouring into our country. They don't want to have the cartels controlling our border. They want to have law and order on the streets and an ability for their children to play out in the front yard and not have to worry about them. And I believe that moderates want to have a strong economy. We used to have that strong economy. When we get back to America First policies, we'll bring back that strong economy. And additionally, I think moderates also want to have strong education for their kids and choice to decide which school to send their children to, and then have their tax dollars follow that. And I also believe moderates want to keep the taxes low. And we have President Trump's tax cut that he passed many years ago, which will be going away in January. If we don't get in there and extend that, we will see taxes go very, very high in this country, and we don't want that.
Would you say that all the people that come from the side of the border are bad hombres? Porque
no.
Aquí está Jeff.
I think there's a lot of good. I think there's a lot of good people who cross the border, but unfortunately, if you're coming across illegally, you're breaking the laws of our country.
Well, I don't know if it's illegal or undocumented. I don't know. What would you say?
I would say if you're pouring across the border and coming across, you're breaking laws in our country, and you're coming across illegally, rather than coming through the legal way. And we have a very generous legal immigration system, and we're actually going to work to improve that. But we can't have people coming across unvetted. We have seen as I think that the stats are more than 600,000 people that are known to have a criminal background have come into our country. We have known terrorists coming in from 170 different countries. There's no vetting of the people coming in, and that's not safe for our citizens of our country.
Well, as we speak, there's 280 million people migrating from one place and the roots to another. That is, it's happening in Europe. It wouldn't believe it, but it's happening in Asia also. And it's happening, of course, in Latin America and the United States. And it's not exclusive of what's happening in the south of the border, because you see the problems that are being raised in places like France or Germany or Belgium or Italy, in which I see a very important characteristic of the people that migrate to the United States vis-a-vis as the people that migrate from Arabian countries to Europe. They do not merge their cultures, well, as I think ours do. I mean, when a Mexican gets into the United States, or a Colombian, Jeff, we like the way of living. We believe in the same God. We have the same aspirations of living better, of having a chance to work. And I know that there's bad hombres also, but I wouldn't blame everything on the migration side, because there's a lot of bad people all over the world. It's good and bad in any country, no?
Well, Pedro, you're the one who said bad hombre, not me.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm just quoting Trump.
I am. We are a country of incredible immigrants that have helped build our country. Absolutely. And we have a generous legal immigration system, and I think we can improve our legal immigration system.
Yes.
But we can't have people pouring into our country illegally. And the people of this country are very concerned. The numbers have been massive, the numbers of people who poured in illegally. And we want to welcome people in through the legal route to come into our country. And, that's that. We're a country of laws. And we're seeing problems all over the world. Yes, what's happening in Europe and many parts of the world are dealing with a lot of issues because of illegal immigration. And so we're going to have an orderly way to come into our country, but coming in unvetted, being smuggled by cartels is not acceptable to the American people.
And you know what's a policy that's driven by the Mexican government, first with López Obrador and afterwards with Claudia. It's a policy that says abrazos y no balazos. That is hugs instead of bullets. They argue, trying to understand why a person becomes delinquent, and trying to cope the reasons why a person becomes delinquent, but they don't prosecute them, and that's a problem that right now Mexico is coping with.
Well, this is why law and order is so important, and we're having some of these issues in our cities as well, where radical liberals like even Kamala Harris and these prosecutors in many different states and counties rather, and cities have allowed for people to commit crimes with no repercussions. They actually, in California, raised the amount of money, amount of merchandise that you could steal up until about $950. If you steal anything from $950 or less, they won't prosecute you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Criminals they figured out that that's a pretty good deal for them. And so now they know exactly what they're stealing, and they go into stores and they wipe them out. They steal just under $950, and they know they'll never see any repercussions or punishment for that. And so those are the kind of bad policies that the left is pushing in various parts of our country that are hurting the law and order. And because of that, stores are closing down in many communities, and then the law-abiding citizens have nowhere to shop anymore because the stores can't afford to stay open if people are going to go in and steal $949 worth of merchandise with no punishment.
Yeah, that's incredible. Jeff, would you please describe me your wife? How is she?
Muy fuerte, very strong woman, and just muy, creo que para mí y mis hijos, lo que ella es para nosotros, yo veo que ella es para el estado también de Arizona y para los Estados Unidos, alguien que que quiere arreglar, que quiere ayudar, que no quiere, ve cómo puede arreglar cosas y que ella como una mamá puede hacerlo bien rápido.
Mhm. I think that she, well, for what I can see and what on her background, she's a very determined woman that would love to go to Washington, D.C., but not eternally.
No.
That's
That
right.
is- that is,
Pedro,
no.
you can say that again. That's the problem. You know, that's the problem with so many people. They want to be in DC. They want to be part of that political operation. And I really don't. I mean, I'm a reluctant politician. I don't want to be in politics, just like Elon Musk said in the past week or so. He said, I don't want to be in politics, but we have to. We have to, as citizens, step up right now. The moment demands it. And we need to step up right now and help our country. Our country is on life support right now. America's on life support. And it's going to take the citizens to step up, step forward, and say, let's get this country back on track. And that's what I want to do. I want to help get these America First policies that President Trump brought us for 4 great years. I want to bring those policies back and then some and make our country great again.
great again. In Arizona, there's not going to be a problem. Do you think so?
Oh, we're doing great. I think we're nearly 200,000 early votes ahead of the Democrats right now, which is remarkable.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, we've got the people are really coming around. They love the America First movement. You know, we saw it grow from 2016 to 2020, a huge growth in the people who were supporting President Trump and this movement. And it's only grown stronger in the past 4 years because we've had to live under just the dreadful, destructive policies of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and my opponent, Ruben Gallego, who's been a rubber stamp for all of that. And so people are coming over in droves to the America First movement. They realize it's not about Democrat versus Republican anymore. It's Americanism versus communism, Americanism versus globalism. And we want our country, our culture, our people to have a wonderful country. This country is special. There's no doubt about it. And we're going to make sure we protect it for our children and our children's children and moving forward for future generations.
You mentioned a word that is very strong, which is communism. You know, I personally hate communism. I think it's deplorable because I saw it. I saw it in the Soviet Union when I was a kid, when I was a youngster. And I saw it in Poland and in East Germany and those places. Something similar to that is raising in places like Venezuela, or believe it or not, Mexico. Are you aware of that in Mexico?
Mm-hmm. I am.
And what will you say about this tendency of it's like a wave in which populism is flooding all over. It's populism in Latin America is very common now. Populism in Europe, and what would you say about populism in the United States?
Well, populism is not communism. It's the opposite.
I know. No, but there's the means in which the communists get into power is through populism, and afterwards they impose a system, or they try to impose it.
Well, I don't know about that. I would really debate what happened in places like Brazil with Lula. I don't believe that he won that election fair and square, and the people are very resistant to it. The people naturally don't want communism because they want freedom. People want freedom, and we're watching as just a wave of corruption takes over the world, and that's why we, the people, are pushing back against that. And I'll speak for the people in America. We want our freedom. We want our Bill of Rights. These are inalienable rights given to us from God. Mm-hmm. They have been written down for us in our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, but they're given to us from God. And we demand to be free people. And that's why there is this populist movement, the America First movement in America, that I'm really proud to be part of for my family, for my community, for my state, and for my country. And I'll speak to just what's happening in America. This movement is large, and we do plan to save our country.
Yes. Would you describe Kamala as a communist?
I think some of the tendencies are certainly, Marxist. Her father was a Marxist professor, and, maybe she learned a little bit from him, but I think some of the policies that the left have been pushing are definitely communist, Marxist. Yes. I mean, they're pushing to take away our freedom of speech, for goodness sakes, right now. And that's a pretty scary thing. I mean, as a journalist, that was my profession required First Amendment, and they want to take that away. And she's talked about having federal agents storm into homes and check on people's firearms. Here, we've got something called the Second Amendment, and we don't take kindly to that.
Okay. On the other hand, you talked about elections and the elections in Brazil. Do you believe in the institutions that will take care of the elections in the United States tomorrow?
I hope that the laws are followed, and we're going to have to watch. And, I think there's a lot of lawyers working behind the scenes to make sure that all of the elections are being followed in accordance with the law. That's what we want. We want every legal vote to count, and we don't want illegal ballots being counted. So we'll see what happens. And we're hopeful, and we're praying, and we'll want to make sure that our elections are run fairly. And Pedro, I'm going to have to wrap this up because we've got a campaign stop to get out. We're still campaigning here.
I know. Yeah, a few hours before the election day, I see that you are. I see you confident that you're gonna make it. That you're gonna win.
I feel good about where we are. I feel good about the polling. My internal polling looks good, and we just need people to get out and vote. And so that's what I need to go do right now is get people out to vote and make sure people know where to go. And we've got more campaign stops, and we're working hard to bring the people, make sure they get to the polls tomorrow and cast their vote and let their voice be heard.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Jeff, take care of her.
Absolutely. Gracias por todo, por la entrevista, y vote por esta mujer que nos va a salvar. Gracias.
Gracias, muchas gracias. Thank you very much for being here with me.
Gracias.
Bye-bye. Gracias.
Thank you, Pedro.
Bye-bye.